Of all the movies that don't need any kind of remake, Starship Troopers is definitely it. This is something in the 90s that really has been, I guess, appropriated by right-wing meme culture with I'm Doing My Part. A lot of military science fiction fans absolutely love to reference this film. Of course, it's got a lot of parody elements and propaganda elements to the Bug Wars there, which are pretty funny just by itself. It's not a good adaptation of the Robert Heinlein book, which is one of the greatest books of all time, in my opinion, but it does stand on its own as a pretty fun movie that's something that does not need to be remade. Now, if this is getting remade, it's because of that cultural appropriation there that's being done by the right, and of course the left wants to destroy that, because if you noticed, that's what they do with everything. They try to destroy anything that normal people love, and so they take Lord of the Rings, a Christian right-wing franchise, and then turn it into this like Amazon Prime gobbledygook. This is their agenda on everything, just to ruin it and to turn it into woke slop. And that's exactly what I think will be happening here if this does, in fact, go through. Now, this is something that might not make it to greenlight because it's such a stupid idea. I just can't see it going that far. But it looks like Sony is developing a Starship Troopers remake, which we'll get into and talk about in just a moment. I talk about all things in science fiction, guys. And, of course, I am a science fiction writer myself. If you like Starship Troopers, you're going to love Justified Saga of the Nano Templar. This is fun, fast-paced military science fiction at its finest. Grab it today. This is the beginning of my beautiful Crusading in Space trilogy. All of it's available on ebook, print, and audio. Grab the audiobooks. It's the first. You probably have Audible credits. This is a great spot to start. It is a lot of fun. You can see great ratings on Amazon. People love this. Check it out. It's in the description below. Really appreciate you guys for being here and reading. And again, it's available on ebook, print, and audio for you. So, a new rumor alleges that Sony Pictures is developing a remake of Starship Troopers. According to Frank Palmer at Screen Geek, Sony has plans to produce a remake of the 1997 film Starship Troopers based on the 1959 novel by Robert Heinlein, which, again, they really don't have anything to do with each other. And I don't believe for a minute that Hollywood is going out there and doing a Heinlein adaptation that's going to be true to the books. That's going to be impossible. There's no possible way that's what they're intending on doing. But, this is where we're at. Of course, this 97 film is a sci-fi classic. People love the film as much as they love the books. It is a separate thing. I treat it as like separate but equal, right? And of course, as members of the United Citizen Federation defending humanity from a ruthless invasion of bug-like aliens attempting to eradicate all human life. It was directed by Paul Verhoeven with a script by Edward Neumeier based off of the novel, loosely based off of the novel. Well, I should very much caveat. Of note, the rumor follows in wake of Sony officially announcing the film adaptation of its video game series, Helldivers. In January, during a 2025 press conference, PlayStation Productions announced that the film said they were looking ahead as to what might come next. I'm excited to announce we're working with Sony Pictures to develop a film adaptation of our amazingly popular PlayStation game, Helldivers 2. Now, that makes a lot more sense. Helldivers is in the zeitgeist. It is something that has a huge player base that's very, very active. And so that is something that makes sense for them to move forward with. Of course, they're working on an Elden Ring movie because of much the same process. Starship Troopers is kind of a niche-y thing, and that's why it's kind of like, will they actually do something like this? I don't know that they would, but this is where it's an interesting rumor at the same place. Helldivers 2 puts players in the roles of a super soldier on Earth. Helldiver pits them against bug-like terminids that escaped from the farms and now spread destruction throughout the galaxy. It also pits players against automatons seeking revenge against humanity for their predecessors, the cyborgs who were defeated in the First Galactic War. Very similar kind of premise in this level of a military science fiction situation. A lot more post-apocalyptic than Heinlein stuff ends up being, but still, this is still a very similar process that they're developing right here. And if these type of movies do end up doing well, this is what Hollywood always ends up doing. If they like one thing, if it ends up as a success, you know what they end up doing. They have 50,000 films that are just aping the exact same genre to try to recapture that lightning in a bottle moment. That's exactly why we we have like the crazy superhero film epidemic that has swept through everything. And I call it an epidemic because it is just destructive for the film business at this point, and it's been destructive and tiring to watch films. People say it's superhero fatigue, but the problem is not actually that. It's just that Hollywood has just like strip mined this genre and actually pulled everything out of superheroes that was good and just kind of ruined it. And I would expect they'll do the same thing with the military science fiction, Space Marines, and the like. They are also developing a Warhammer 40K TV series at the same time, which also has the Tyranids that the Space Marines face off against. So if we're looking at Space Marines versus bug monsters, there's going to be a lot of films and a lot of TV shows coming out that are going to have a lot of this very same theme. Now, on that level, Henry Cavill is working on that, so I have a little more faith in it than I have with Sony doing something right with Helldivers, but that is something else. Now, Starship Troopers, again, I really think that the premise of this would be to try to change things, to try to overly diversify the Starship Troopers, to try to strip the soul out of what made the 1997 film something that people love and have as a sort of cult classic at this juncture, because they just don't want you enjoying anything at this point. Hollywood seems to have this like fetish for making the fan bases of things like humiliated. You see this with Star Wars especially, right? Another military science fiction sort of thing. It's like they just want to ruin everything on that level and turn it into some gobbledygook that doesn't have anything to do with the original stuff that was going on with the original films. And on top of that, you look at Star Trek. I mean, my gosh, we can talk about Star Trek for a long, long time on this channel, and I often do. But it really is humiliation at this point. They've just turned it into just this gay monstrosity where that's all they do. They don't explore strange new worlds anymore. As I always say, they explore strange new genders. And I would hate to see Robert Heinlein's work get that treatment, because Robert Heinlein, if you don't know, was a center-right libertarian guy. And so his proclivities on this level would have leaned more towards the mores of this channel, other than his weird polyamory crap, which it was much later than Starship Troopers, to be fair, because this was still 1959. He hadn't gotten into that crap yet. But still, he would have been somebody who would have been canceled and blacklisted today. And that's exactly why Sony would want to reimagine his work into something else at this juncture. Like I said, that's exactly what they've done with Tolkien, because they blast Tolkien. They say he was racist. They say that orcs are black people. Same thing with Robert E. Howard, the developer of Conan, right? That's terrible stuff. They try to rejigger that into these like modern audience things with a lot of the work these days as well. They try to attack all these cultural icons who actually had good mores, who actually had good storytelling, because they don't have that kind of talent themselves in Hollywood. They don't have that sort of creative spark, because that creative spark, you have to, in order to create beauty and create something good, you have to point towards truth. And since Hollywood doesn't believe in truth and doesn't believe in justice, doesn't believe in the American way, they can never do something like Starship Troopers right these days. Well, that's just my opinion. Maybe there's somebody out there who thinks otherwise, and I'm completely wrong. What do you think about this? Do you want this film? Leave a comment down below. Hit the like and subscribe button. Really appreciate you guys being there. And please, if you love Starship Troopers, you are going to enjoy my Justified Saga of the Nano Templar. Grab the whole trilogy today. It's available on ebook, print, and audio in the description below.